All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Red Friday Live Chat. I am Farzine Masugi and appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to watch the Red Friday Live Chat, whether you're watching live on a Friday night with me or you're watching sometime later over the weekend. Some things to get into, of course, here on this episode of the Red Friday Live Chat. Of course, we'll be talking about Mecole Hardman returning to the Chiefs, signed with the Chiefs earlier this week. We learned about the corresponding move, which included the release of Hassan Hall, the running back, the second-year running back who the Chiefs had. Also, the B.J. Thompson situation seems like he's making some good progress there, which is good to see. And also this week, we've had a lot of attention on the subject of the future of the Chiefs, where they're going to move, what's going to happen. We've actually heard the state of Missouri respond the last couple of days. They've been very kind of ho-hum, giving us very generic answers about these kinds of things, not really giving any kind of optimism that the Chiefs will stay in the state of Missouri. So that's something definitely worth getting into later tonight on the Red Friday Live Chat. I see you guys are starting to come in. If you guys have any questions, comments, whatever's on your mind, let me know. We have not done a Red Friday Live Chat in a long time, so maybe some of you guys forgot. We used to do the Red Friday live streams. So hopefully we get some comments tonight. I definitely want to hear from you guys. Let me know what is on your mind, what questions you guys have, what topics you want to discuss. Let me know in the comments, and I will get to those later on in the show if we have any. All right, let me start with the Mecole Hardman return to the Chiefs. We were just talking about Mecole Hardman 48 hours ago on the Chiefs Zone, and I was asking, why is Mecole Hardman still a free agent? Because that guy is 26 years old, still has the skill set that you want, now has his progress taken a very long time in the NFL. Yeah, it certainly has. There's no question about it. But, man, this is still a guy that I would rather have on my football team. I don't know what happened with the Jets specifically, why things did not work for Mecole Hardman there. And listen, even when he came to Kansas City, Mecole Hardman did not make a major difference in the Chiefs' offense. It did some good things on special teams, but also did some bad things on special teams as well. Had some issues with ball security. Now, in all fairness, Mecole Hardman is not the only person that had issues with ball security or holding onto the football. The entire receiving room was just terrible at it. I always mention Justin Ross, who a lot of Chiefs fans want to see more of. Justin Ross didn't play a lot of snaps last year, but even in the snaps that he did play, even he was guilty of dropping some passes. It's like, man, something weird was going on last year with the receiver room. I don't know if it was just on the players, just bad luck, or the coaching staff. Like, who got the blame for it? Well, you're returning a lot of those guys. You still got your head coach, your offensive coordinator, your quarterback, your wide receivers coach, who a lot of people, including me, criticized for the myriad of drops throughout the season. And you're returning a lot of the wide receivers that committed all of those problems, such as Mecole Hardman, Justin Watson, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Justin Ross. I mentioned a lot of those guys are back. You drafted Xavier Worthy, who has had some drop issues. Now, it's worth noting that he dealt with a broken hand for some period in college. So that's played a role as well. Then you also have Hollywood Brown, who had some drop issues several years ago, but he's also never been in a really good position where he's had a good quarterback. So Rashee Rice, who was your most productive wide receiver last year, but even he had issues with drops and even holding on to the football all the way into the Super Bowl. So ball security was definitely an issue with everybody last year. Travis Kelce drops a lot of passes, but Travis Kelce makes up for it with his production. Tyreek Hill, kind of the same thing. He dropped a lot of passes in Kansas City. He still is with Miami, but makes up for it with his production. Another wide receiver out there that drops a lot of passes, T. Higgins. But again, with what he does, it's not as big of a deal because of what he does on offense for the Bengals. So those are just a few examples. Could obviously give more, but you get the idea. Mecole Hardman. Why are the Chiefs bringing back Mecole Hardman? Well, there could be several reasons for this. Number one, the Chiefs probably learned of a potential suspension involving Rashee Rice. We're all anticipating it. We all know it's coming. We just don't know when or how many games exactly it's going to be. That we still don't have the answer to. So we're still kind of waiting on that right now. Just speculation. We're not 100% sure if that is for sure what's going on involving Rashee Rice. Another reason why Mecole Hardman is probably his services were needed, probably because Sky Moore, the rumors out there, is that he's having a very underwhelming OTA so far. Has not really been doing a lot of things that are being asked of him. And Kadarius Toney, has he even been spotted yet in OTAs? Is there anything from Kadarius Toney this offseason? I don't think anyone's even heard from Kadarius Toney. And a lot of people just aren't sure exactly what the future holds for Toney. I think a lot of people are comfortable in Kadarius Toney's role right now with being a depth player, because your starting receivers, your top three wide receivers, essentially, are Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Rashee Rice, pending a suspension with Rice, of course. So those are your top three receivers on offense. Then you look at the following three. Well, you got Kadarius Toney, Justin Watson, Sky Moore, Justin Ross, Mecole Hardman, Nico Remigio. Obviously, not all 9 of those guys are going to be on the team, but those are who the Chiefs have to work with. And then behind those guys, you got Cornell Powell, Montrell Washington, who the Chiefs brought back, a speedster who can do some good things. In the return game, you have Phillip Brooks. You have Jaron Hayek. Those are your 13 wide receivers on offense right now. And I know some people are wondering, could Luis Rees-Zammit play some wide receiver this year? Yeah, possibly. I would say maybe more in the second half of the season as opposed to the first half, because he's still making that transition to the NFL. But I think in general, when I look at this receiving core right now, I love what I'm seeing with this receiver room. And I think I'm already seeing people call it Legion of Zoom 2.0. I think that nickname was already being thrown out there already. And I think even more so now because Mecole Hardman's coming back. I mean, look at the speed all around here. Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Justin Watson, who has some underrated speed. I know it doesn't get talked about often. There's more negative than positives that get talked about when it comes to Justin Watson. Kadarius Toney, same thing with him. At least more so this past year than the year before. Mecole Hardman. You got some serious speed there. And then you got Rashee Rice, who's a very solid wide receiver. And again, we'll see, what the future holds with him and his availability. But you look at this receiver room today and where it is. Compared to 12 months ago, who were your top 3 wide receivers 12 months ago? It was Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Kadarius Toney, and Sky Moore. And with the hopes of possibly bringing in DeAndre Hopkins. And as I mentioned on the Chiefs Zone earlier this week, Hopkins to Kansas City did not happen because the Chiefs were to bind with the salary cap, trying to figure out what to do with the whole Chris Jones situation, and you guys all know how that went. But hey, it all worked out at the end of the day. Like, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, but certainly not in the most ideal ways of going about winning a Super Bowl, for sure. You definitely want to have better production, because I think the thought is that the defense, which is, no secret, the defense was a huge part in Kansas City's success last year with the loss of L'Jarius Sneed, but still having essentially the same defensive front, the same pass rush. I think the defense will take a little bit of a step back, not a big step. The defense is still going to be good in 2024, but I think they'll take a tiny step back. I don't think it's going to be anything noticeable at the end of the day. The loss of Willie Gay also going to be key. I think with Willie Gay, he's easily replaceable. Not to say he was bad or anything, but, for a linebacker that was tabbed as a very good run-stopping linebacker, well, he wasn't available in that AFC Championship game when the Chiefs were facing the best rushing team in the NFL in the Baltimore Ravens, and they managed to limit the Ravens just fine in that football game. Obviously, the Ravens imploded, and the fumble from Zay Flowers, which was just poetic justice at the end of the day. the Chiefs defense still managed to hold their own. Keep in mind, the Chiefs offense did not score in the second half of that game. Um, the Chiefs defense did a lot of great things last year. Um, but the point being, with Willie Gay moving on, the Chiefs were still able to win that AFC title game without him. And I think Leo Chenal, I'm really excited to see Leo Chenal in 2024 because with Willie Gay moving on to New Orleans, that means more of Leo Chenal. And I think he's going to be a really good linebacker for the Chiefs. I really do. This guy was going after the quarterback a lot last year and had like 6 or 7 QB hits at one point when Nick Bolton was dealing with some injuries, and the Chiefs had to kind of mix things up with the linebacker position there. But I think the defense overall is going to be merely similar to last year. If the defense is going to be about the same, well, there's a lot of expectations from this offense. A lot of people are expecting this offense to improve in 2024. And if this offense does improve, this is going to be a really good year for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I'm expecting a 14-3, 15-2 type of season for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are in position to do a lot of big things, win a lot of football games, and get that number 1 seed. So, to me, at the end of the day, there's a lot of expectations from this offense, and I think if the defense, again, continues to do what it's been doing, which I think the defense will, I think Spags will for sure make sure that's going to happen. It's going to be a really good football team. And here's a crazy thing, because if you guys watched that Week 18 game against the Chargers, and I know a lot of people didn't because it was just mostly the backups, except for plus Chris Jones, I should say, and because it was a game with a lot of backups, it was not available in a lot of other markets unless you had Sunday Ticket. And the announcers for that game, Spiro Deeds and Adam Archuleta, they're going through the Chiefs season, and obviously they won 11 games, but before the end of the final score. And Spiro Deeds and Adam Archuleta, they're kind of laughing and they're being facetious. They're like, oh, the Chiefs, they've had such a rough year, but they've won 10 games and they have the number 3 seed locked up. So understand all of this. Like, the Chiefs had all of their issues on offense last year, okay? Wasn't pretty. You guys all know the story. We've already gone over it. And then they find a way to win 10 football games. Mahomes, not his best year at all. Same with Travis Kelce and the rest of the crew on offense. But they still found a way to win 10, eventually ended up being 11 football games. They won into the playoff. A lot of people thought the Chiefs were going to be one and done. Miami had all of their players on offense. The only good thing that happened to Miami, the two only good things that happened to Miami in that football game, the pass to Tyreek Hill, where Trent McDuffie just completely lost track of the football and the entire situation there, but he made up for it the rest of the day, shutting down Tyreek Hill. Him and L'Jarius, they took turns shutting down Tyreek Hill in that football game the rest of the way. And then the second best thing that happened to the Dolphins in that football game was Rashee Rice's second touchdown got called back. And then the following week, the Chiefs go play Buffalo. What happens? Oh, Patrick Mahomes, he has never played a true road playoff game before. Well, the Chiefs took a big dump on that narrative, and they march into Buffalo, take care of business. Wasn't pretty, and we actually got to talk about that because of the whole Mecole Hardman thing coming back. But then the Baltimore game, people thought, oh, well, this has been the best team in the NFL all year, and the Chiefs take care of business on the road in Baltimore. And then they beat the 49ers, who a lot of people thought the clear-cut top team in the NFC, beat them in the Super Bowl, overcoming a lot of things in that football game. The Chiefs did not have like a true All right. That was great. Um, fix this camera here. Yeah, guys, I apologize. My internet sucks. Like, really. Hold on. Let's just redo this. We're gonna end the live stream and do it all